Today I'm sharing with you how to store your dehydrated bone broth and how to rehydrate it when you're ready to drink it. Hi sweet friends, I'm Mary and welcome to Mary's Nest. I'm a former New York City girl, but I live the simple life now with my sweet husband here in the Texas Hill Country. And this channel is all about cooking from scratch, living naturally, and creating a cozy home with charming thrift store finds. So if you're like me and you want to live the simple life, no matter where you live, be sure to subscribe to my channel. And don't forget to click on the little notification bell below. That'll let you know every time I upload a new video. In a previous video, I shared with you how I took bone broth, beef bone broth specifically, and dehydrated it in my dehydrator and in my oven. Both worked great, and I'm so impressed with how it worked out. And I'll be sure to link to that video in the iCards and in the description below so that you can watch that as well. Now I only have a little bit here because since it was an experiment, I had never done it before. So I just did 5 cups of bone broth. And can you believe this is 5 cups of beef bone broth, dehydrated. It's amazing. And the 5 cups, my husband helped me with the math, but in order to rehydrate it, you take a little bit of a rounded tablespoon, and we'll put it in a cup, add water, but we'll do that in a minute because some of you have asked me, what are my thoughts on the best way to store this? And so, if you look at commercially produced dehydrated bone broths and collagen and gelatin, all these different products that are on the market, they'll carry shelf lives for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, and it's quite amazing that it can stay fresh that long. For something that's homemade like this, I gotta be honest with you, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm thinking maybe 2 to 3 months on our pantry shelves. And the reason I'm thinking 2 to 3 months is that even though we defat this as best we can, there may be a scotch bit of tallow in it. Now tallow actually does have a very long shelf life. I believe that in the refrigerator or the freezer it can almost last, I don't want to say forever, but I've read that it can last a long time. And outside, just in the fresh air, in a covered tin or something, often the shelf life is estimated to be 2 years, which that's amazing too. But I'm just thinking, just to be on the safe side, about 2 or 3 months. But if any of you have experience doing this, or you've read specifically how long dehydrated bone broth can last in terms of shelf life, I would be very interested in hearing about that down in the comments. Have you dehydrated bone broth? Have you been successful doing it? How long have you found that it stayed fresh on your shelf, on your pantry? All of that. I'd love to get a discussion going about this because I'm very excited about this. And I love the fact that I can free up a little room in my fridge and my freezer and also have something that I can take with me, either when I'm traveling or even out and about during the day and want to bring some bone broth with me that I can just add some hot water to and enjoy a cup of it. And I also just like the idea of having some on my pantry shelf to fill in for those times when maybe I don't get a chance to make bone broth. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to seal this up and then I'm going to check it periodically and I'll open it up over the next couple of weeks, the next couple of months. I want to smell it and taste it and see if there is much change in it or much degradation. And we'll learn together exactly how long we think that this might stay lovely on our shelves and usable. So what I'm going to do is, this just as I said, this was my experiment, so I just have a little bit. But whether a little bit or a large amount, this is basically what I'm going to do. I'm going to put it in a jar. This is just a plain little canning jar. It's a jelly jar. And I'm going to put in one of these oxygen absorbers, which I think will help. Whenever I dehydrate things and then seal them up, I always like to put in an oxygen absorber. And you can find these pretty much anywhere, on Amazon or some of the various websites that sell things regarding food preservation and so on and so forth. And I'll put a link below so you can find these up in the description below. But anyway, so what I do is I'm going to put the dehydrated bone broth in a jar. I'm going to put in an oxygen absorber because I really like to use those whenever I am storing anything dehydrated. Then I'm just going to take my canning lid and then I'm going to use my little food saver lid topper that normally you would have I'm just going to press that down, and normally you would have the little hose that would then attach to the food saver machine and it sucks all the air out. But what is so nice, they've come up with this little gadget that I absolutely love. It's just a handheld food saver in place of having to use that big machine and the hose. And it has a hole here, and it just runs on batteries, and it's got a hole here. And then you put the little device right on top, and then you press this, and it sucks the air out. Now, I've showed you this before in other videos. I don't know if you can hear it exactly because it's just a slight change, but as you're sucking the air out, it makes a slightly different sound, which kind of indicates that it's done removing all the oxygen. And this thing suddenly feels very attached, and you actually have to go bloop to get it off, and I'll show you what I mean. So here we go. 1, 2, 3. So you'll hear a little change in sound. I think it is difficult to hear on camera, but what I want to show you is, I'll pick this up carefully, but see how the little gadget actually makes a seal with this. So then you know you've got all the oxygen out. And then you just pop, remove that off, and then remove this. Sometimes this little thing comes out, but that's no big deal. You just kind of stick it right back in. And then we're going to see how firm this has made a nice seal to stay on. See? You can't open it. You're going to need a can opener. See? It's terrific. So that's nice and sealed, nice and tight, airtight. Now I'm going to take my can opener and I'm going to open it because now we'll rehydrate some. And you'll also hear, let's see if you can hear the pop. Did you hear that? It was a nice seal. Okay, so now we'll pretend that we're opening it for the first time. And we're going to go ahead and rehydrate some. Now, as I said, this is the equivalent of 5 cups of broth. And so when I measured everything out, my husband helped me with the math. He said it would be about a rounded tablespoon. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in my mug. And I've just got a teaspoon here I'm going to put in because I'll pour some hot water in there, and this teaspoon will help protect the glass. But I wanted to do this in glass so you could see it. And then what I like to do with bone broth is just take a little pinch of salt. I find that it really, and this is just some flaked sea salt, I find it really helps bring all the flavors together and make it a flavorful beverage. Well, I've got my tablespoon of the dehydrated bone broth in there, and my salt, my sea salt, and I've got my water boiled. And so I'm going to get ready to pour this in here, and we'll give it a stir and see how it tastes. And I just want to stress again that, this is something that's very new to me. And I was very thrilled that it dehydrated so well. And certainly, check out that video so you can see how I did it. But, as to the shelf life, I really don't know what it is. So definitely do your research on the internet, see what you might be able to find. If other people have done this, I'm going to certainly do some research as well. And what I find out, I'll definitely share with you. Because I really don't know, even with using the oxygen absorber and sealing it with the food saver, I really don't know what the shelf life would be. And so I don't want to say to you, oh yes, you can put it on your shelf for X number of months or whatever the case may be. Do your research and see what you find out, and let's definitely have a conversation about this in the comments. Well, let's pour this water in. I just brought it up to a boil, and then I just let it rest for a minute, so I wasn't pouring in totally boiling water onto the bone broth. And let's see how this rehydrates. I'm just going to stir this around. I can smell the aroma. Up here it smells wonderful. It smells just as fresh as if I had just taken it out of the fridge and warmed some on the stove. Oh, it's mixing up quite nicely. A little stirring. It felt a little bit of tackiness. You can see the little pieces on the spoon. A little bit of tackiness. Just got to continue to stir it to make sure it's thoroughly dissolved. Okay, I think that's getting better. Those little last bits are dissolving little by little. Alrighty, I think that looks good. I think I got it all dissolved. Now it's quite warm, so I'm not going to just take it like this and sip it. I'm actually going to take it like a soup, and I'll tell you how it is. That's delicious. It tastes just like if I had taken it out of the jar out of my fridge and warmed it up. It's really good. I gotta tell you, I am so pleased with this. This is wonderful. I highly recommend it. If you'd like to learn more about bone broth, be sure to subscribe to my channel and then click on this video over here where I show you how to dehydrate beef bone broth. And I'll see you over there in my Texas Hill Country kitchen. Love and God bless.